Good evening, folks. It is just about 5 minutes until tonight's puzzle drops. It is night two of Advent of Code, and as always, we are working through the puzzle solutions in C++. Once again, yeah, we'll just be doing it once again this evening. So it's about 4.5 minutes until tonight's puzzle drops. Hopefully tonight we will have better audio quality. I have the headset mic set up instead of the mic in my webcam, which had a lot of clipping issues. So you'll remember last night we went through the first puzzle where the sleigh keys got lost overboard and we had to do a sonar scan along the ocean floor. We'll see what we have cooking up tonight. Just to get ready, I've prepared a new directory in our code repository here for day number 2. Just a little simple, bare bones executable and build target in the Bazel build system that we're using. So we are all ready to go just as soon as the puzzle drops. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can drop those in chat, or if you're watching the replay on YouTube later, you can go ahead and ask questions in the YouTube comments. Just about 3 minutes to go here. Hopefully I exercised all my bad computer luck today. I was trying to do an upgrade on my partner's desktop gaming PC, and so she got a new solid state NVMe drive, and it's one of the little stick M2 form factor drives. And, we had her computer all open up and ready to put the memory stick in, and found that we were missing the top little screw to screw it into the riser onto the board to keep it stuck in place. So we had to postpone that upgrade until we can go to the hardware store tomorrow and get the right sized screw. So I guess the lesson is, with hardware, always make sure that you have the right screws. Software, I don't know how that applies. Us software people have a screw loose anyway. All right. A minute 20 to go. So, as I've said before, these puzzles tend to start off pretty easy and get more difficult over time. But, difficulty is subjective. It's not necessarily a linear ramp in difficulty. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we do tonight. I'm not expecting it to be too difficult, but one of these nights I'll wind up eating my words, I'm sure, because there's always going to be some kind of thing that'll trip me up where I don't remember the right trick to use, or I just really have to bang my head against it for a while. I remember last year it was about modular arithmetic and remembering how to use the Chinese remainder theorem, which really stumped me one day. But we'll see. We'll see what Eric has got cooked up for us this year. Just 20 more seconds. All right, here we go. Dive. Now we need to figure out how to pilot this thing. Submarine can take a series of commands like forward 1, down 2, or up 3. So we can do forward, up, and down. Okay, so we've got a depth and a horizontal position. Okay, so down means depth increases, up means depth decreases. Submarine seems to already have a planned course, your puzzle input. You should probably figure out where it's going. Okay, so we start at 0, 0, and we've got a sequence of instructions. Okay. So we just have to apply a sequence of maneuvers and figure out where we wind up. So let's go ahead and get our puzzle input here. AO2.txt. And let's get to work on our puzzle. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of these command lines. So I have a little utility, IO utility already written that you may have seen on previous days that just reads all the lines from a file. Oh, we need to actually name that variable, of course. Read lines from file, and we'll use the first argument to the program. So we get our lines. And then each line we're going to parse into some kind of a command. So, to start, our depth and our horizontal position are 0. So we're going, well, so we can even put those beforehand. Let's see. So I have the abcel libraries here, and in strings, there's something that we can probably use pretty easily to. Yeah, we can use stir split. I'll bet. So for each line, we're going to split the line into the part that is the direction, like forward, up, or down, and the part that is the number of units, which we'll then parse into an integer. So we'll say for each line in the list of lines, we will say just put the includes in here so that we can get the abcel string libraries that we'll be using. This is not necessarily the most efficient way to parse these lines. We could use regular expressions or any other kind of thing, but this will be fine. So we're going to have our vector of string view of parts. We are going to say that's going to be abcel stir split. No. And we're going to split the line by just the space character. And we are going to then use my little check macro to assert that it splits it into exactly 2 parts. And so the first part will be the command part. So we'll say we can't use a switch statement in C++ for strings. Unfortunately, it only really works for like integer-like literals. So we have to do literal comparisons. But we'll say if parts.front, which is the command, equals forward. Well, actually, let's parse the second part too. Let's parse the second part first. So we'll say a value, and then we'll say we'll use abcel simple a to I, which basically will convert a string into an integer for us. So the second part of that split string is going to be the number of units that we move. So we'll say parts dot back, which is going to be the last element, or just the second element in this case. We'll parse that into the value, make sure that that works okay, and then we will say if parts dot front equals forward, then we will increase our horizontal position by that value. Else, if it's up, we will decrease our depth by that value. If it is down, we increase our depth by that value. And if it's none of those, then it's not a recognized command, so we'll fail. So we get to the end of this, and we should have our depth and our horizontal position, and the answer that we're looking for is the product of those two. So we'll go ahead and print that out. And that, I think, is our solution. But we have to make sure that we have all the includes that we need here. So we need to include, the dependencies that we need in our build file. So we need to include my little check library, and we need to include the abcel libraries that we're using. And I just have to double check what they're called in this workspace, or here, well, we'll just look in the workspace file. So it'll be believe at com Google abcel /abcel/strings. I think that ought to work and just give us everything that we need from the strings library. So let's try and actually build this. Building with the LVM toolchain config I have set up, and make it optimized. Why not? It's going to be run puzzles day 02 part 1, and then we'll do that on our day 2 input. It's going to compile it and run it and give us our result. So let's find out if we got it right. All right, part 1 done. On to part 2. Based on your calculations, plan course doesn't seem to make any sense. You find the summary manual and discover the process is actually slightly more complicated. In addition to horizontal position and depth, you also need to check a third value, aim, which also starts at 0. The commands also mean something entirely different than you first thought. Down increases your aim, up decreases your aim. Forward does two things. It increases your horizontal position by x units and increases your depth by your aim multiplied by x. Okay. Okay, so we've got this third hidden variable, aim, which is going to change how we actually interpret the course of our submarine. So before I make any modifications, I'm just going to add a quick commit here for the solutions to part 1. Go ahead and do that. And I'm going to make a copy of the source code for part 1 that we will use as the start of part 2. Okay. So getting into part 2 here. So we have aim, which also starts at 0. And now we know that down increases aim and up decreases aim. So instead of changing depth directly, those will modify aim. And when we go forward, the same change happens to the horizontal position, but the depth position is the aim multiplied by changes by the aim multiplied by the delta in the horizontal position. And we still, at the end, need to multiply our horizontal position and depth. So I think that's it. We have all the same dependencies. Just need to change the name and the source for this. So let's go ahead and try and run our part 2 program on our puzzle input. And now we have a different, much deeper depth. Let's go ahead and try pasting that back in and see if it's correct. All right, a gold star. We got it. So that is day 2 in the books. Let's look at personal stats here. Let's see how we did. Okay. Our ranks were significantly worse than they were on the first day. I guess, we kind of fiddled around a little bit getting the parsing together. But, still pretty good. We were, 11 minutes on part 2. But yeah, that's the solution for part 2. So thank you all for joining the stream tonight. As always, you can find these streams on my Twitch channel. The replays get uploaded to my YouTube channel. The source code is all in my GitHub. If you want the links to all of that, if you're watching on Twitch, you can find them in my channel profile. All the links are there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find all of those right down in the video description. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for day 3 of puzzles. Bye-bye, everybody.